Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasa Tato Jayam Vadire Nashtaprayasho Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Vashukhe Bhaktir Bhavati Nashti Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Reading from chapters 6 of Canto 10, The Killing of the Demon Putana. A summary of the 6 chapters as follows. When Nanda Maharaj was following the instructions of Vasudeva, was returning home, he saw a great demoniac woman lying on the road, and then he heard about her death. While Nanda Maharaj, the king of Vraja, was thinking about Vasudeva's words, considering disturbances in Gokula, he was a little afraid and sought shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Hari. Meanwhile, Kamsa sent to the village of Gokula a Rakshasi named Putana, who was wandering here and there and killing small babies. Of course, wherever there is no Krishna consciousness, there is danger of such Rakshasis. But since the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself was in Gokula, Putana could accept nothing there but her own death. One day, Putana arrived from outer space in Gokula, the home of Nanda Maharaj, and by displaying her mystic power, she assumed the disguise of a very beautiful woman. Taking courage, she immediately entered Krishna's bedroom without anyone's permission. By the grace of Krishna, no one forbade her to enter the house or the room because that was Krishna's desire. The baby Krishna, who resembled a fire covered by ashes, looked upon Putana and thought that he would have to kill this demon, the beautiful woman. Enchanted by the influence of Yogamaya and the personality of Godhead, Putana took Krishna upon her lap, and neither Rohini nor Yashoda objected. The demon Putana offered her breast for Krishna to suck, but her breast was smeared with poison. The child, Krishna, therefore squeezed Putana's breast so severely that in unbearable pain she had to assume her original body and fell to the ground. Then Krishna began playing on her breast just like a small child. When Krishna was playing, the gopis were pacified and took the child away to their own laps. After this incident, the gopis took precautions because of the attack of the Rakshasi. Mother Yashoda gave the child her breast to suck, and then he laid him in bed. Meanwhile, Nanda and his associates, the coward men, returned from Mathura, and when they saw the great dead body of Putana, they were struck with wonder. Everyone was astonished that Vasudeva had foretold his mishap, and they praised Vasudeva for his power or foresight. The inhabitants of Vraja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces, but because Krishna had sucked her breast, she had been freed from all sins, and therefore when the cowherd men burned the pieces of her body in a fire, the smoke filled the air with a very pleasing fragrance. Ultimately, although Putana had desired to kill Krishna, she attained the Lord's abode. From this incident began the instruction that if one is attached to Krishna somehow or other, even as an enemy, one ultimately attains success. What then is to be said of devotees who are naturally attached to Krishna and love? When the inhabitants of Vraj heard about the killing of Putana and the welfare of a child, they were very much satisfied. Nanda Maharaj took the baby Krishna on his lap and was filled with satisfaction. Shri Sukha Vacha Nandapati Vacha Shaurir Namrishriti Vichintayam Harim Jagama Sharanam Uktata Gama Shankita. The Goswami continued, My dear king, while Nanda Maharaj was on the way home, he considered that what Vasudeva had said could not be false or useless. There must have been some danger of disturbances in Gokula. Nanda Maharaj thought about the danger for his beautiful son, Krishna. He was afraid and he took shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller. Whenever there is danger, the pure devotee thinks of the protection and shelter advised in the Bhagavad Gita. 933 Anityam Asukham Lokam Imam Prapya Bhajasva Mam. In this material world, there's danger at every step. Padam Padam Yadvipatam. Therefore, a devotee has no other cause than to take shelter of the Lord at every step. Kamsena Prahita Ghora Putana Balagatini Sishum Chara Nignanti Puragrama Vrajadishu. While Nanda Maharaj was returning to Gokula, the same fierce Putana whom Kamsa had previously engaged to kill babies was wandering about in the towns, cities, and villages doing her nefarious duty. Nayatra Shravanadini Raksho Gnani Swakarmashu. Kurvanti Satvatam Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. My dear king, whenever people in any position perform their occupational duties or devotional service by chanting and hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety about Gokula while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present. Shukadeva Goswami spoke this verse to medicate anxiety of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee of Krishna, and therefore, when he understood that Putna was causing disturbances in Gokula, he was somewhat perturbed. Shukadeva Goswami therefore assured him that there was no danger in Gokula. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung Nama Shraya Kari Jatane Tumi Tahkaha Apane Kaje. Everyone is thus advised to seek shelter in the chanting of the whole Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remain engaged in his own occupational duty. There is no loss in this, and the gain is tremendous. Even from a material point of view, everyone should take the chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra to be saved from all kinds of danger. This world is full of danger. Padam padam yad vipadam natisham. Therefore, we should be encouraged to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra so that in our family, society, neighborhood, and nation, everything will be smooth and free from danger. Sakhe charika dotpatya putanananda gokulam yoshitva mayayatmanam pravishat kamacharini. Once upon a time, Putana Rakshasi, who could move according to her desire, was wandering in outer space, converted herself by Raj, by which they can travel in outer space without machines. In some parts of India, there are still such mystic witches who can sit on a stick and use it to fly from one place to another in a very short time. This art was known to Putna. Assuming the feature of a very beautiful woman, she entered Nanda Maharaj's abode Gokula. Tam Kesha Banda Vyati Shatam Malikam Brihanitam Hastana Krichra Madhyamam Suvasasam Kalpita Karna Bhushana Tvisolasat Kuntala Manditanam Tananam Valgusmitapanga Visarga Vikshitair Manoharantim Vanitam Rupinim Gopya Shriyam Drashtumi Vagatam Patim. Her hips were full, her breasts were large and firm, seeming to overburden her slim waist, and she was dressed very nicely. Her hair, adorned with a garland of malika flowers, was scattered about her beautiful face. Her earrings were brilliant, and as she smiled very attractively, glancing upon everyone, her beauty drew the attention of all the inhabitants of Braja, especially the men. When the gopis saw her, they thought that her beautiful goddess of fortune, holding a lotus flower in her hand, had come to see her husband Krishna. Balas grahas tatra vichinvati shishun yadrichayananda grihe sadantakam balam prichanna nijuru tejasam tadarsha talpegnim ivahitam bhase. While searching for small children, Putna, whose business was to kill them, entered the house of Nanda Maharaj unobstructed, having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord. Without asking anyone's permission, she entered Nanda Maharaj's room, where she saw the child sleeping in bed. His unlimited power was covered like a powerful fire, covered by ashes. She could understand that this child was not ordinary, but was meant to kill all demons. Demons are always busy creating disturbances and killing, but the child laying on the bed in the house of Nanda Maharaj was meant to kill many demons. Vibudyatam balaka marika graham chara charatma sa nimilite kshana anantam aropyad ankam antakam yathoragam suptam abuddhirajuddihi. Lord Shri Krishna, the all-pervading super soul, lying on the bed, understood that Putna, a witch who was expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. Thus Putna took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation. Just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope. In this verse, there are two perplexities. When Krishna saw that Putna had come to kill him, he thought that since this woman was present with motherly affection, although artificial, had to offer her benediction. Therefore, he took at He looked at her with a little perplexity and then closed his eyes again. Putna Rakshasi was also perplexed. She was not intelligent enough to understand that she was taking a sleeping snake on her lap. She thought the snake to be an ordinary rope. The two words antakam and anantam are contradictory. Because of not being intelligent, Putna thought that the child could kill her, antakam, the source of her annihilation. Thought that she could kill her. She could kill her antakam, the source of her annihilation. But because he is ananta, unlimited, no one can kill him. Tam tikshna chittam ativama chestitam vikshyantra kosha parichhada sivat varastriyam tat prabhaya cha darshite nirikshamane janani hyatishtatam. Putana Rakshasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like a very affectionate mother. Thus she resembled a sharp sword in a soft sheath. Although seeing her within the room, Yashoda and Rohini, overwhelmed by her beauty, did not stop her but remained silent because she treated the child like a mother. Although Putna was an outsider and although she personified fierce death because the determination within her heart was to kill the child, when she directly came and placed the child on her lap to offer the child her breast to suck, the mothers were so captivated by her beauty that they did not prohibit her. Sometimes a beautiful woman is dangerous because everyone being captivated by external beauty, Maya Mohita, is unable to understand what is in her mind. Those who are captivated by the beauty of the external energy are called Maya Mohita. Mohitam nami janati mam ebhya paramavyayam. Bhagavad Gita 7:13. Nate vidu swatagatim hi Vishnu durasheya bhair arthamanina. Here, of course, their two mothers, Rohini and Yashoda, were not Maya Mohita, deluded by external energy, but to develop the pastimes of the Lord, they were captivated by Yoga Maya. Such Maya Mohana is the action of Yoga Maya. Tasmin stanam durjara virya ulbanam ghorankam adaya shishur dadhavada atha gadam Gadam karabhyam bhagavan prapidya tat pranay samam rosha samanvitopi vat. In the very spot, the fiercely dangerous Rakshasi took Krishna on her lap and pushed her breast into his mouth. The nipple of her breast was smeared with a dangerous, immediately effective poison. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, becoming very angry at her, took hold of her breast, squeezed it very hard with both hands, and sucked it out, both the poison and her life. Lord Krishna was not angry at Putna for his own sake. Rather, he was angry because the Rakshasi had killed so many small children in Rajabhumi. Therefore, he decided that she should be punished by having to forfeit her life. Samunchamun chalam iti prabhasini nispidyamaneka nispidyamana khila jiva marmani vivritta netre charanau bhujamuhu prasvinna gatra kshipati rurodhaha. Unbearably pressed in every vital point, the demon Putna began to cry, "Please leave me, suck my breast no longer." Perspiring, her eyes wide open and her arms and legs flailing, she cried out loudly, very loudly again and again. The Rakshasi was severely punished by Krishna. She threw her arms and legs about, and Krishna also began to kick her with his legs to punish her properly for her mischievous activities. Yasvanenati gabhira ramhasa sadrir mahidyos cha chalad sagraha rasadishascha pratinedire jana petukshitav vajra nipata sankhaya. As Putna screamed loudly and forcefully, the earth with its mountains and outer space with its planets trembled. The lower planets in all directions vibrated, and the people fell down, fearing that thunderbolts were falling upon them. Srimad Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that in this verse, the word rasa refers to the planetary systems below the earth, such as Rasatala, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, and Talatala. Nisha charitam vyatita stana vyasur vyadaya Keshamscharano bhujavapi prasarya goshte nijarupamastita vajrahato vritra ivapatanrupa. In this way, the demons, Putna, very much aggrieved because her breast was being attacked by Krishna, lost her life. O King Parikshit, opening her mouth wide and spreading her arms, legs, and hair, she fell down in the pasturing ground in her original form as a Rakshasi, as Vritrasura had fallen when killed by the thunderbolt of Indra. Putna was a great Rakshasi who knew covering her original form by mystic power, but when she was killed, her mystic power could not hide her, and she appeared in her original form. Vatamano pitad dehas trigavyutyanan Trigavyutyantaradruman Churnayam Asha Rajendra Mahad Asitad Adbhutam. O King Parikshit, when the gigantic body of Putna fell to the ground, it smashed all the trees within a limit of 12 miles, appearing in a gigantic body. She was certainly extraordinary. Because of the grievous hurt imposed upon her by Krishna sucking her breast, Putna, while dying, not only left the room but abandoned the village and fell down in the passion ground in her gigantic body. Isha matrogra dhamsthashyam giri kandara nashikam gandashailastanam raudram prati prakir naurunam urdhajam andakupa gabhiraksham pulin naroha bhishanam Baddasetu bujor angri sunyatoya hradodharam Santatra susma vikshya gopa gopya kalevaram purvam tu tan niswanita bhinna hritkarna mastaka. The Rakshasi's mouth was full of teeth, each resembled the front of a plow. Her nostrils were deep like mountain caves, and her breast resembled big slabs of stone from a hill. Her scattered hair was the color of copper. The sockets of her eyes appeared like deep blind wells. Her fearful thighs resembled the banks of a river. Her arms, legs, and feet seemed like big bridges, and her abdomen appeared like a dried up lake. The hearts, ears, and heads of the coward men and women were already shocked by the Rakshasi screaming, and when they saw the fierce wonder of her body, they were even more frightened. Alam chatasya urasi kridantam akuto bhayam gopyasturnam sama bhyetya jagrur jata sambrama. Without fear, the child Krishna was playing on the upper portion of Putna Rakshasi's breast, and when the gopis saw the child's wonderful activities, they immediately came forward with great jubilation and picked him up. Here, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Although the Rakshasi Putna could increase or decrease her bodily size by her mystic abilities and thus gain proportionate power, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally powerful in any transcendental form. Krishna is the real personality of Godhead, because whether as a child or as a grown-up young man, he is the same person. He does not need to become powerful by meditation or any other external endeavor. Therefore, when the great powerful Putna expanded her body, Krishna remained the same small child and fearlessly played on the upper portion of her breast. Sadaishwarya Purna Bhagavan. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always full in all potencies, regardless of whether he is present in the form in this form or that. His potencies are always full. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. He can display all potencies under any circumstances. Yashoda Rohini Bhyamta Samam Balasya Sarvata Raksham Vidhadhir Samyag Gopucha Brahma Naribi. Thereafter, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, along with the other elderly gopis, waved about the switch of a cow to give full protection to the child Sri Krishna. When Krishna was saved from such a danger, Mother Yashoda and Rohini were principally concerned, and the other elderly gopis, who were almost equally concerned, followed activities of Mother Yashoda and Rohini. Here we find that in household affairs, ladies could take charge of protecting a child simply by taking help from the cow. As described here, they knew how to wave about the switch of a cow so that to protect the child from all types of danger. There are so many facilities afforded by cow protection, but people have forgotten these arts. The importance of protecting cows is therefore stressed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Krishi Goraksha Varnijyam, Vaishyas Karmas, Swabhavajam. Even now in Indian villages surrounding Vrindavan, the villagers live happily simply by giving protection to the cow. They keep cow dung very carefully and give it to use as fuel. They keep a sufficient stock of grains, and because of the giving protection of the cows, they have sufficient milk and milk products to solve all economic problems. Simply by giving protection to the cow, the village lives so peacefully. Even the urine and stool of cows have medicinal value. Gomutrena snapayitva punar gora rajasarsh sarbakam raksham chakruscha sakrita dvadashangeshu namabhi. The child was thoroughly washed with cow urine and then smeared with the dust raised by the movements of the cows. Then different names of the Lord were applied with cow dung on 12 different parts of his body, beginning with the forehead as done by tilak. In this way, the child was given protection. Gopya smasprishta salila angeshu karayo pratak Nyasyatmanyatha balasya bijanyasam akurvata. The gopis first executed the process of achmana, drinking a sip of water from the right hand. They purified their bodies and hands with the Nyasa mantra, and then applied the same mantra upon the body of the child. Nyasa mantra includes achmana, the first drinking a sip of water kept in the right hand. There are different Vishnu mantras to purify the body. The gopis, in fact, any household, there's neither process for being purified by chanting Vedic hymns. The gopis executed this process first to purify themselves and then to purify Krishna. One executes the process of Anga Nyasa and Kara Nyasa simply by drinking a little sip of water, chanting the mantra. The mantra is preceded with the first letter, first of the name, followed by Anuswara and the word Nama. Om Namo Jastvangri Avyat Ma Mano Mani Mam Stava Janu Avyat, and so on. By losing Indian culture, Indian householders have forgotten how to execute Anga Nyasa. They're simply busy in sense gratification without any advanced knowledge of human civilization. Avyada Jongri Manimams Tava Janvatoru Yagno Chitta Katitatam Jataram Yasya Hritkeshavastvad Ura Isha Inastu Kantham Vishnur Bhujam Mukhamuru Krama Ishvarakam Chakragrata Sahagado Harirastu Paschat Tvatparshvayodhanarashi Madhuhajanascha Koneshu Sankha Urugaya Uparya Pendras Tarkshya Shitau Haladhara Purusha Samantat. Shukadeva Maharaj prediction that the gopis following the proper system protected Krishna, their child, with this mantra. May Aja protect your legs. May Maniman protect your knees. May Ayagnya protect your thighs. Achyuta, the upper part of your waist. Hayagriva, your abdomen. May Keshava protect your heart. May Isha, your chest. The sun, God, your neck. Vishnu, your arms. Urukrama, your face. Ishvara, your head. Front. May Sri Hari, Gadadhari, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. And may the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu, Lord the sword, protect your sides. May Lord Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners, protect you from above. May Garuda protect you on the ground, and may Lord Haladar, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. Narayano Vatu, Svetadvipapatischittam, Mano Yogeshwaro Vatu. May Rishikesha protect your senses, and Narayan, your life air. May the Master of Sri protect the core of your heart, and may Lord Yogeshwara protect your mind. Prishnigate Buddhim Atmanam Bhagavan Para Kridantam Patu Govinda Shayan Patu Shayanam Patu Madhava Vrajantam Avyad Vaikunta Asinam Tvam Shriyapati Bhujanam Yajna Bhukpatu Sarvagraha Bhayankara. May Lord Krishna guard and protect your intelligence. May the Supreme Personality guide your soul. While you're playing, may Govinda protect you. And while you're sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikunta protect you while you are walking. May Lord Narayan, the husband of the goddess of fortune, protect you while you are sitting. Similarly, may Lord Yajna the fearful enemy of all evil planets, always protect you while you enjoy life. Dakino yatu danyascha kusumanda yirbhaka graha bhuta preta pisachascha yaksha raksha vinayaka Kothara Revati Jyeshtha Putana Matra Kadaya Unmadaye Yapasmara Deha Pranendriya Ruha Swapna Drishta Mahotpata Vriddha Bhala Grahaschaye Sarvenas Yantute Vishnur Nama Grahanam Bhirava. The evil witches known as Dakinis, Yaturdhanis, and Kusmandas are the greatest enemies of children, and the evil spirits like Bhutas, Pretas, Pishachas, Yakshas, Rakshas, and Vinayakas, as well as witches like Kotara, Revati, Jyeshta, Putna, and Makrita, are always ready to give trouble to the body, the life air, and the senses, causing loss of memory, madness, and bad dreams. Like the most experienced evil stars, they all create great disturbances, even especially for children, but we can vanquish them simply by uttering Lord Vishnu's name. For when Lord Vishnu's name resounds, all of them become afraid and go away. Said in the Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Madhyam Purana Purusham Navayauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person, non-dual, infallible, and without beginning. Although he expands into unlimited forms, he is still the original, and although he is the oldest person, he always appears as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, and all-knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood by the academic wisdom of the Vedas, but they are always manifest to the pure, unalloyed devotees. While decorating the body with tilak, we give protection to the body by chanting 12 names of Vishnu. Although Govinda or Vishnu is one, he has different names and forms with which to act differently. But if one cannot remember all the names at one time, one may simply chant Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, and always think of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Radhadanam Param, this is the highest form of worship. If one remembers Vishnu always, even though one is disturbed by many bad elements, one can be protected without a doubt. The Ayurveda Shastra recommends Aushadhi Chintayet. Medicine, one should remember Vishnu, because the medicine is not all in all, and Lord Vishnu is the real protector. The material world is full of danger. Padam padam yad vipadam. Therefore, one must become a Vaishnava and think of Vishnu constantly. This is made easier by chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Kirtaniya Sadahari Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam and Kirtanad Eva Krishna Sya Mukta Sangha Param Rajet. Shri Sukha Vacha Iti Pranaya Padhabhir Gopibhir Krita Rakshanam Payayitva Sthanam Mata Sanya Vesad Atmajam. Shri Sukadeva Goswami continued, all the gopis headed by Mother Yashoda were bound by maternal affection, and after they thus chanted mantras to protect the child, Mother Yashoda gave the child the nipple of her breast to suck, and then got him to lie down on his bed. When a baby drinks milk from the breast of his mother, this is a good sign of health. So the elderly gopis were not satisfied with chanting mantras to give protection to Krishna. They also tested whether the child's health was in order. When the child sucked the breast, This confirmed that he was healthy, and the gopis were fully satisfied. They had the child lie down on his bed. To Mathura, and with the body of Putna lying dead, they were struck with great wonder. Nanda Maharaj's wonder may be understood in various ways. First of all, the cowherd men had never before seen such a gigantic body in Vrindavan. Therefore, they were struck with wonder. Then they began to consider where such a body had come from, whether it had been dropped from the sky, or whether by some mistake or by the power of some mystic yogini they had come to some place other than Vrindavan. They could not actually guess what had happened, and therefore they were struck with wonder. Yunam Batar Shi Sanjato Yogesho Vasama Sa Eva Drishto Hya Utpato Yad Ahadaka Dundubi. Nanda Maharaj and the other Gopas exclaimed, "My dear friends, you must know that Anaka Dundubi Vasudev has become a great saint or a master of mystic power. Otherwise, how could he have foreseen this calamity and predicted it to us?" This verse illustrates the difference between Kshatriyas and innocent Vaishyas. By studying the political situation, Vasudeva could see what would happen, whereas Nanda Maharaj, the king of the agriculturists, could only guess that Vasudeva was a great saintly person and had developed mystic powers. Vasudeva actually had all the mystic powers under his control. Otherwise, he could not have become the father of Krishna. But in fact, he foresaw the calamities of Braj by studying Kamsa's political activities, and thus warned Nanda Maharaj to take precautions. Although Nanda Maharaj thought that Vasudeva had predicted his incident through wonderful mystic powers, by mystic powers gained through the practice of Hatha Yoga, one can study and understand the future. Kalevaram Parashubhis Chitvate Tadvrajau Kasha Durekshitva Vavyavaso Yadhahan Kashtad Veshitam. The inhabitants of Raj cut the gigantic body and put it to pieces with the help of axes. Then they threw the pieces far away, covered them with wood, and burned them to ashes. It is the practice that after a snake has been killed, its body is cut into various pieces for the fear it may come to life again simply by interacting with air. Merely killing a serpent is not sufficient. After it is killed, it must be cut to pieces and burnt. Then the danger will be over. Putna resembled a great serpent, and therefore the cowherd men took the same precautions by burning her body to ashes. Dahyamanas Manasya Dehasya Mascha Guru Saurabha Uthita Krishna Bhukta Sapadhyaha Papmana. Because of Krishna's having struck the breast of the Rakshasi Putna, when Krishna killed her, she was immediately freed of all material contamination. Her sinful reactions automatically vanished. Therefore, when her body was being burnt, the smoke emanated from her body was fragrant like aguru incense. Such are the effects of Krishna consciousness. If one somehow or other becomes Krishna conscious by applying his senses in the service of the Lord, one is immediately freed from material contamination. Shurvatam Sokata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hearing about the activities of Krishna is the beginning of purified life. Punya Shravana Kirtana, simply by hearing and chanting one becomes purified. Therefore, in discharging the devotional service, Shravana Kirtana, hearing and chanting, is most important. Then, with purified senses, one begins to render the service of the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchite. This is called bhakti. When Putna was somehow or other directly or indirectly used to render some service to the Lord by feeding him with her breast, she was immediately purified so much that her nasty material body was burned to ashes and gave off the fragrance of agru, the most agreeable scented herb. Putana Loka Balagni Rakshasa Rudirashana Chikma Jighamsayapi Haraye Stanam Datvapa Sadgatim Kimpuna Shraddhaya Bhakta Krishnaya Paramatmane Yachad Priyatma Kimdu Raktastanmatro Yatha. Putna was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered rest to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement. What then is to be said of those who had natural devotion and affection for Krishna, as mothers who offered him their breasts to suck, or offered something very dear, as mothers offer something. What then is to be said of those who had natural devotion and affection for Krishna, as mothers, and who offered him their breasts to suck, or offered something very dear, as a mother offers something to a child. Putna had no affection for Krishna, rather she was envious and wanted to kill him. Nonetheless, because with or without knowledge she offered her breast, she attained the highest achievement in life. But the offerings of a devotee attracted to Krishna and parental love are always sincere. A mother likes to offer something to a child with affection and love. There's no question of envy. So here we can make a comparative study. If Putna could attain such an exalted position, if Buddha could attain such an exalted position in spiritual life by neglectfully and enviously making an offering to Krishna, what is to be said of Mother Yashoda and the gopis who serve Krishna with such great affection and love? Offering everything for Krishna's satisfaction, the gopis automatically achieve the highest perfection. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended the affection of the gopis, either in maternal affection or in conjugal love, as the highest perfection in life. Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. Padbhyam Bhakta Hridi Sthabhyam Vandyabhyam Lokavandita Angamyasya Samakramya Bhagavadapi Tatstanam Yatu Danyapi Sasvargam Avapa Janani Gatim Krishna Mukta Stana Kshira Kim Ugavo Numatara. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is always situated within the core of the heart of the pure devotee, and he is always offered prayers by such worshipful personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Because Krishna embraced Putna's body with great pleasure and sucked her breast, although she was a great witch, she attained the position of a mother in the transcendental world, and thus achieved the highest perfection. What then is to be said of the cows whose nipples Krishna sucked with great pleasure, who offered their milk very jubilantly with affection, exactly like that of a mother? These verses explain how devotional service rendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whether directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, becomes successful. Putna was neither a devotee nor a non-devotee. She was actually a demoniac witch, instructed by Kamsa to kill Krishna. Nonetheless, in the beginning, she assumed the form of a very beautiful woman and approached Krishna exactly like an affectionate mother. So that mother, Yashoda and Rohini, did not disturb her sincerity. The Lord took all this into consideration, and thus she was automatically permitted to a position like that of a mother. As explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there are various roles one may play in such a position. Putna was immediately promoted to Vaikuntha, which is also sometimes described as Swarga. The Swarga mentioned in this verse is not the material heavenly planet, but the transcendental world. The Vaikuntha Loka, Putna attained the position of a nurse, Dhatru Chitam. As described by Uddhava, Putna was elevated to the position of a nurse and maidservant in Golok Vrindavan to assist Mother Yashoda. Payamsi Asam Apibhat Putra Sneha Snutanyalam Bhagava Devaki Putra Kaivalyadi Akhila Prada Tasam Aviratam Krishne Kurvati Nam Sute Kshanam Na Puna Kalpate Rajan Samsarogya Sambhava. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is the bestower of many benedictions, including liberation, Kaivalya, oneness with the Brahman effulgence. For that personality of Godhead, the gopis always felt maternal love, and Krishna sucked their breasts with full satisfaction. Therefore, because of their relationship as mother and son, although the gopis were engaged in various family activities, one should never think that they return to this material world after leaving their bodies. The advantage of Krishna consciousness is described herein. Krishna consciousness gradually develops on the transcendental platform. One may think of Krishna as the Supreme Personality Godhead, one may think of Krishna as the Supreme Master, one may think of Krishna as the Supreme Friend, one may think of Krishna as the Supreme Son, or one may think of Krishna as the Supreme Conjugal Lover. If one is connected with Krishna in any of these transcendental relationships, the course of one's material life is understood to have already ended, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Tyakta Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Sojana. For such devotees, going back home, back to God is guaranteed. Punah Kalpate Rajan Samsarogya Sambhava. This verse also guarantees that devotees who constantly think of Krishna in a particular relationship will never return to this material world. This material world of samsara, there are the same relationships. One thinks, here's my son, here's my wife, here's my lover, or here's my friend. But these relationships are temporary illusions. Ajnana Sambhava. Such a consciousness awakens in ignorance. But when the same relationships awaken in Krishna consciousness, one's spiritual life is revived and one is guaranteed to return home back to Godhead. Even though the gopis who were friends of Rohini and Mother Yashoda and who allowed their breasts to be sucked by Krishna were not directly Krishna's mothers, they all had the same chance as Rohini and Yashoda to go back to Godhead and act as Krishna's mother-in-law, servants, and so on. The word samsara refers to attachment of one's body, home, and wife, or wife. Home, husband, or wife, and children, but although the gopis and all the other inhabitants of Vrindavan had the same affection and attachment for husband and home, the central affection was for Krishna in some transcendental relationship, and therefore they were guaranteed to be promoted to Golok Vrindavan in the next life to live with Krishna eternally in spiritual happiness. The easiest way to attain spiritual elevation, to be liberated of this material world and go back home back to Godhead, is recommended by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Krishnera samsara kara chariya char. One should give up all sinful activities and remain the family of Krishna. Then one's liberation is guaranteed. Kata dhumasya abhyam avagrahya vrajokasha kibidam kuta eveti vadanto vrajam ayayu. Upon smelling the fragrance of the smoke emanating from Putna's burning body, many inhabitants of Rajabhumi in distant places were astonished. Where is this fragrance coming from? They asked. Thus they went to spot where Putna's body was being burnt. The aroma of the smoke emanating from a burning fire is not always very favorable. Therefore, upon smelling such wonderful fragrance, the inhabitants of Raja were astonished. Te tatra varnitam gopai putanagama nadikam shrutvatam nidhanam viswasti shishos chasan suvismita. When the inhabitants of Raj, who had come from distant places, heard the whole story of how Putna had come and then had come and then been killed by Krishna, they were certainly astonished, and they offered their blessings to the child for his wonderful deed of killing Putna. Nanda Maharaj, of course, was very much obliged to Vasudeva, who had foreseen the incidents, and simply thanked him, thinking how wonderful Vasudeva was. Nanda Swaputra Badaya Pretya Gatam Udharadi Buddhin Yupa Grahya Parabam Buddham Lebe Kuru Dvaha. Maharaj Parikshit, best of the Kurus, Nanda Maharaj was very liberal and simple. He immediately took his son Krishna on his lap, as if Krishna had returnally enjoyed transcendental bliss. Nanda Maharaj could understand how the inhabitants of his house had allowed Putna to enter the house nor could he imagine the gravity of the situation. He did not understand that Krishna had wanted to kill Putna and that his pastimes were performed by Yoga Maya. The Maharaj simply thought that someone had entered his house and created havoc. This was not the Maharaj's simplicity. Yaitat putana moksham Krishnasya bakam adbhutam Shudayach Shraddaya Marityo Govinda Namate Ratim. Any person who hears with faith and devotion about how Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, killed Putna, and who thus invested his hearing in such shallow pastimes of Krishna, certainly attains attachment for Govinda, the Supreme Original Person. The incident in which the great witch attempted to kill the child, but was killed herself, is certainly wonderful. Therefore, this verse uses the word adbhutam, meaning specifically wonderful. Krishna has left us many wonderful narrations about him. Simply by reading these narrations, as they're described in Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, one gains salvation from the material world and gradually develops attachment to and devotion for Govinda, Adi Purusha. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purpose of the 10th canto, 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Killing of the Demon Putana. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.